Alright, what is up guys, and welcome back to another Zoids review. This time we're going to be taking a look at the HMM Blade Liger with attack boosters, the generic version that was released in 2020. So this is the most modern reissue of the HMM Blade Liger that we have, and it is meant to be a generic Hilly Republic Blade Liger, not affiliated with any particular character in the anime, although it is loosely connected to a particular character in the battle story based on the artwork being depicted here, but we'll talk about that. I'm very excited that I finally bit the bullet and decided to build this kit. I have really been dipping into my backlog of model kits pretty thoroughly since Christmas, and have gotten quite a few model kits out of my backlog that I've been sitting on for quite a while. I really did very poorly at building a lot of model kits last year in 2023, and whether it's Zoids or Gunpla, whatever, I've been like really getting in there and clearing out quite a few of them, and I've been pretty happy about that. I think I have built 5 kits since Christmas, so within about a month or so, I've built quite a few kits, including 2 HMM Zoids. So the Blade Liger has a bit of a reputation for being pretty difficult to assemble, and as some of you may remember, my very first HMM that I tried to build was the previous release of the blue Blade Liger, the van version. That one is since out of print and pretty hard to find, and I did a terrible job assembling it because it was my first ever HMM. And so there's a super old video where I compared that one to the original Takara Tomy 1999 NJR motorized version, the very first Blade Liger that was ever released. And I reviewed the HMM version very unfavorably compared to that one because it was fragile, and I just did a very incompetent job building it, and I'm very ashamed of that, but here I got another chance to finally build another blue Blade Liger, and this one is very nice. So, a couple things about what I wanted to do for this video. So this is mainly going to be about specifically the HMM Blade Liger. I do want to do an ultimate Blade Liger comparison at some point, but there are several versions of the Blade Liger that I either don't have or don't have friends where they can let me borrow a hands-on sample to kind of review. So my friend Brad, who's a fellow collector, I've done a video about his collection on the channel before. He has quite a few Blade Ligers that I don't have, including like the Black Forest version of the motorized version. And so I wanted to do like an ultimate Blade Liger comparison when I finally have the chance to go up to his house and view his collection again. And so I'm not going to go super thorough into comparing every single version of the Blade Liger that I own right now. This is mainly going to be about this version, and there's been several versions that have released since this one came out that I don't have or don't really have the ability to talk about in any great detail. So this one was released in early 2020, and I kind of gave it the colloquial term of the 2020 Blade Liger for that reason. But it is just a generic reissue of the exact same Blade Liger from the 2009 van version with some different color. It is not re-engineered in any meaningful ways. So essentially is that same van Blade Liger from 2009, but in an entirely different color, and does not have the unique pilot minifigures for the anime characters and the organoids. So after that, we got in 2020, late 2020, we got the Hagane Works Blade Liger, which is it's the same scale as this Blade Liger. I do not believe it includes attack boosters, but it is a die-cast metal like action figure style model kit. So you don't assemble that one. It comes out of the box completely complete, but it's essentially a metal action figure style. And it's quite cool. I never got a chance to get my hands on one because I don't have a whole lot of room for a whole lot of new Zoids, so I'm just trying to get through my backlog of HMMs and kind of call it a day with that. But it was also very expensive, but it looks very good, and is probably the most anime accurate in terms of the way it's been modeled. The HMM Blade Liger here was sort of a reimagining of the original 1999 Takara Tomy motorized version, and so lots of details have been updated and modernized, and the overall scale and proportions of the Zoid have been improved. That's a reoccurring motif with all the HMMs. They modernize them just enough to make them look better and more proportionate without changing anything really critical about the design. And then this past year in 2023, for the 40th anniversary of Zoids, there's so much 40th anniversary content I have not talked about, and I really should get back on that very soon, because we had a ton of new announcements, we had a ton of new products that were revealed, and I am just way behind on talking about that stuff for this channel. But part of the 40th anniversary was we got the AZ sort of masterpiece style 40th anniversary Blade Liger, which is an entirely new mold, entirely new kit that's never been released before, and it has details that have been completely reimagined from the 1999 version and from this version that are just completely different. And that one is a motorized kit that you build. It is a model kit, but it is not on the complexity in terms of build as the HMMs, because it's not meant to be a posable model kit. It's meant to be a more advanced motorized kit, similar to the Masterpiece kit. So the Masterpiece kits do have motors, but they are meant to have a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different motorized settings. So they do a lot more than just walk. That Zoid is a little bit harder to find now because he was pretty sought after, but HLJ still has the 40th anniversary Blade Liger in stock for about $80 before shipping. So you still are able to pick that one up there, and I'm really tempted to, but I just can't afford it right now. But I would love to get my hands on the 40th anniversary Blade Liger because the Blade Liger is my favorite Zoid, and I have almost every iteration of it that exists in one way or another. I've done a video on the HMM Leon Blade Liger, the red one, which they really need to do a generic reissue of that. Of course, there was also the HMM Blade Liger Mirage, which is very old, and I do not have a version of that, but I do have a motorized Blade Liger Mirage that I've acquired into the collection more recently. And I've done a video on the motorized Blade Liger Shadow Impact, which is the one from Fusors in the gray color scheme. And I've done a video on the Revoltech super articulated Blade Liger Mirage, which is a smaller scale than these Blade Ligers. It's not 1/172nd. It's not a 1 in 72nd scale. It's a little bit smaller than that, but it's a really cool super articulated sort of action figure style one. And they are pretty hard to find nowadays too. I don't know that I exactly recommend them because they don't really scale well next to the rest of your collection, but they are really cool and they are out there. So quickly, we'll go over the Blade Liger in terms of the lore. I, of course, plan to do this again even more thoroughly when we do the Ultimate Blade Liger comparison. But the Blade Liger, in terms of the battle story, was implemented in response to the fact that the Helic Republic was having their teeth kicked in by the Gylos Empire and the Genosaur. The Genosaur was basically destroying any and all Zoids that would put in its way. And their attempts to continue to upgrade the Shield Liger and the Gojulus were just not cutting it. So they decided, let's go back to the R&D floor and just start to make something completely different that will be a effective counter to the Genosaur. The Genosaur had the advantage of being able to interface with the organoid system, and so this new Zoid would have to have that feature as well. So the Blade Liger was then implemented, and the Blade Liger was pretty effective at that task. It was basically designed to be an anti-Genosaur weapon for the Helic Republic. And what's really funny is when you look at the battle story, the Blade Liger was only used for about 2 years in the total timeline of the battle story, which is really funny because pretty soon after the response of the Blade Liger coming around and defeating the Genosaur, the Gylos Empire implemented the Geno Breaker as a counter to the Blade Liger. So these things just continue to spiral out of control. And so the Helic Republic implemented new weapons and tried to upgrade the shielding capabilities of the Blade Liger. And that's where we get the attack booster system. That's what AB stands for on the box, is attack boosters. And these were used to help it better combat the Geno Breaker. So now they're sort of on more even footing. The attack boosters are a lot more impressive in the battle story and in the lore than in the anime. Of course, in the anime, the Blade Liger was the primary Zoid used by Chaotic Century protagonist Van Flyheit after his Shield Liger is almost completely destroyed by Raven's Genosaur, and Zeke and Fiona are able to sort of trap themselves inside of it and evolve it into the Blade Liger. And it was the very first Blade Liger in existence in that continuity because it was the result of the organoid system plus the ancient Zoidian weird technology magic to sort of give birth to this one-of-a-kind Zoid. Later on in the anime continuity, of course, you'd have things like Leon having one and there being the what do you call it, the Shadow Impact team infusers with a team of them, which got effortlessly taken out by the Berserk Fury in the first episode of fusers. Interestingly enough, in the manga, the Blade Liger is also used by Van. I believe it's a battle with the Death Stinger that results in his Blade Liger being critically damaged, and they then transfer the Zoid core from his Blade Liger to the new prototype Liger being made by the Helix Republic, which is the Liger Zero in the manga. So I find that really interesting. I need to read the manga and see how that goes, but apparently the manga story is very, very different from the anime and does not follow any of the same rules or anything like that. Before I forget and I get too far away from it, the box art here is depicting the battle between the Blade Liger, the Genobreaker, and the Death Stinger. So the Death Stinger was rogue and out of control at this point, and you have Lieutenant Arthur Bergman piloting the Blade Liger here. This is a very climactic battle that resulted in the Blade Liger being completely destroyed, and the only survivor of this battle was the pilot of the Genobreaker. And the box art of the last release of the HMM Death Stinger also features this battle, and so does the artwork of the repackaged generic Genobreaker as well. The Genobreaker is depicted holding one of the Blade Liger's destroyed blades as it's finishing off the weekend Death Stinger. So very, very cool there. As far as the games go, I've mentioned multiple times that the Blade Liger is absurdly powerful in the Zoids Battle Legends games, and it is that way primarily because of the fact that in Zoids Versus 1 and 2 and Zoids Battle Legends, the blades have unlimited ammo, and they deal significant critical damage to anything they touch. They almost instantly stagger Zoids, and sometimes you can get like one hit per frame on an enemy Zoid and just cripple their health immediately. And they tried to balance that in Zoids Versus 3 by giving it an ammo limit, which runs out pretty quickly. But even then, the Blade Liger and all the blade-type Zoids are still incredibly powerful. One of the things that you want to do in that game is actually forego the shield and equip it with boosters, and then using the attack booster weapons is the best long-range style weapon that the Blade Liger is equipped with, and is a very solid long-range weapon you can use in that game. All right, on to the model kit itself. So I want to go ahead and get this out of the way right away. This is the Van version, the previous iteration. I want to just kind of show the comparison here, and I'm so embarrassed about this thing because it looks so rough. I did such a terrible job building this thing, and the flaws are pretty evident right away. So I just did so many things wrong when building this. I missed the little piston pieces right here. I missed some of the very important rubber socket pieces, so his foot will not stay on. Somewhere I messed up with not clipping out the pieces correctly on the head, so the gap will not close here in the face. But this does allow us to show off the difference in coloration here, because this is the main difference with this Blade Liger right here. The engineering is exactly the same, it's just a different color. So it is a lighter blue, which I think looks fine. It's actually not quite as light as I was expecting it to be based on the images on the box, on the instruction manual, and on promotional images online. It's a lot closer to the Van version than I thought it would be, but it is still quite a bit lighter. But interestingly enough, there's also more gray inside of the core body of the Zoid itself. And some of the pieces that are gray versus black on the body of the Van version are sort of interchanged on the generic HMM version. And then, of course, the big thing that I really appreciate is I really never liked these bright-ass yellow fangs and teeth and blades on the Van version, and I'm glad they replaced them with a sort of dull gold color on the generic version. I think that looks so much better. It's a different gold, a different metallic color than even the Leon version. So the Leon version has an even different color than this, but I think that this looks the best out of any of the HMM Blade Ligers we've gotten so far. One thing that I do prefer about the Van version is the attack boosters up here. The top of the shell where they open up is white, whereas it's gray here on the generic version, and I feel like that sort of breaks up the color of the entire thing a little bit. You know, you associate the Blade Liger with having this sort of blue and white color scheme, and all the fins and mane on the side and everything. You're used to seeing those as white, and so the top of the attack boosters being gray like that is not my favorite thing in the world. It looks fine. I just would have preferred if they were white, and if I really, really, really wanted to, I would just swap the pieces out from the van version, and then have my ideal perfect Blade Liger here. This is an homage, though, to the original motorized attack booster customized parts kit, which I will be showing off in just a moment, where they were in fact gray, even though in the anime and in the games they are white, as you see here on the van version. So to kind of clarify the history of the HMM Blade Liger a little bit, because I've kind of talked out of order a little bit in this video. So the HMM Blade Liger's initial release was in 2007, and it was the second HMM, or second or third HMM ever released. I think it might have been Shield Liger, Saber Tiger, then Blade Liger. And the initial version did borrow a lot of engineering from the initial HMM Shield Liger. So the majority of the inside of the torso, and even the skeletal structure of the legs, is borrowed directly from the HMM Shield Liger, which at the time may seem strange because there weren't that many HMMs in existence. It was only, like I said, the second or third one. So to sort of just borrow from it like that seemed a little bit lazy, but it makes sense when you consider the lore, how they are kind of built off of each other, and they would share some of the same engineering there. In 2009 is when we got the van version, which you see over here, the anime version, and I got this one in particular in 2014, I want to say. So I was pretty lucky still finding a copy of this in the wild, even in 2014. And again, it was my very first HMM I ever built, and I did a terrible job of it. And then we got the Leon version, which I think did have like one reprint. Yeah, it did actually. The Leon version has had one reprint because it has different box art. The original version of the Leon HMM is very difficult to find, and probably not worth it, because there have been some changes that have been made to this thing over the years, including how the cockpit had like this weird white seal around it, and they've sort of removed that from the modern versions, but you'll see that in a lot of the pictures of the old versions. I definitely prefer the way it looks right now. There was a translucent version of the HMM Blade Liger that did not feature attack boosters, that was part of a limited edition Blu-ray release of Chaotic Century in Japan, and that's probably the rarest HMM Blade Liger. I don't think I've ever seen one built in someone's collection before, aside from the whale buyers in the community, because it is a very rare kit, and it is basically the same thing as this, except the armor and everything is translucent, which is pretty cool. Then, of course, there was the HMM Blade Liger Mirage, which had only one printing, and as far as I know, the Blade Liger Mirage is not tied into anything that would present any difficulties with copyright or reproduction. So hopefully we would get a re-release of the HMM Blade Liger Mirage eventually, because it's not tied to the anime in any kind of meaningful way, so there's no real reason not to reprint it. Really quick, I do want to show a comparison between this and the original 1999 Takara Tomy version. Now, this one was probably not released exactly in 1999. It was probably 2000, 2001, and I got this one in 2005. I imported it, or maybe 2004. Yeah, probably 2004. Imported it from Japan. And for many, many years before I really got into collecting Zoids, around 2016 or so, when I started really going back and finding a bunch of older Zoids and buying them off of collectors as an adult. As a kid, this was like my prized possession. I was very, very happy to have the original Blade Liger from Chaotic Century, because it was my favorite Zoid, and we never got one localized over here in the West. We just had the red Blade Liger, the generic Hasbro one, which admittedly was also rare, and I didn't have my own copy of that red Blade Liger until like 2018. But as you can see, this version right here is more closely based off of this version in terms of color. The blue is still ever so slightly a bit more light on this classic version than it is on the HMM version. So if you line them all three up like this, the difference between this blue and the van version I just showed is like night and day. But if you can put them all three together, it really comes across as a lot more minor than you'd think. Also, the color on the fangs and feet here is almost identical, so they really matched that very well from this original version. And in this original version, the feet and fangs are die-cast metal, which is very nice. Although the Hasbro Leon version did not have it had plastic feet and fangs. This was the die-cast metal ones were brought back for the Fusers version, also released in Japan alone, I believe. So finally, I wanted to show off for the first time on camera the motorized Blade Liger Mirage that I finally got for my collection. I really like the color scheme of the Blade Liger Mirage. It's one of my favorite ones. And but this kit is elusive. It's a little bit rare. I did spend a decent amount of money on this guy, and he's not in the best condition. Some of the joints feel pretty weak, but I understand why. It's very much in the same way that they're weak on my original 1999 version. And you get to see the original motorized customized parts kit for attack boosters here, and how they've sort of modernized them for the HMM version. And like I said, the top of them is that gray color, so it is sort of an homage there. Although I really would have liked attack boosters that go with this Blade Liger Mirage that were the correct color. They were like red and white. I think that'd be really cool. And you can make that happen in the Zoids Battle Legends game, but that is not what this shipped with. Apparently it shipped with these. And now that we have the HMM Greenhorn here officially released, you can get an HMM Attack Boosters Customized Parts Kit as its own separate thing. So you can just buy HMM Attack Boosters, and they do look just like this. They're exact same color as this for the generic Attack Booster Customized Parts Kit if you were to buy that. Not really sure which Zoids would benefit from attack boosters that are not the Blade Liger or, I guess, the Red Horn, but it's cool that they released that, and I'm curious to see what kinds of customization people do secondhand. So bottom line, I think this guy looks fantastic. I do highly recommend it. It is extremely posable. It looks really good. It scales well next to your other Zoids. It is a more proportioned version. If you have built a couple other HMMs already, you shouldn't have too much trouble with this compared to my abysmal attempt at building the van version. But one thing I will say is that even by the standards of HMMs, this guy is kind of hard. So I would rather recommend that you start with something like the Liger Zero, a Command Wolf, or the Godos, or something on the smaller scale like that. Even the Rev Raptors make great starting HMM kits, actually, if you can pick up one of the HMM Rev Raptors. But I realized this because the other Zoid I just finished building, which the review will be coming for that as well, was the Empire Liger Zero. My generic Liger Zero, the white one, was given to me already built. So this was my first time building the HMM Liger Zero. And by comparison, if you started with the HMM Liger Zero, which, let's face it, you probably did if you're the average Zoids fan, that was a pretty forgiving build. The HMM Blade Liger has a lot of questionable engineering that makes it pretty difficult to build, and some of it just makes it incredibly time consuming. Like I had these are long builds, like factoring in breaks for, using the restroom, just taking a break to breathe, or getting food or whatever. These can be like 13-14 hour builds. They do take a very long time. Some of the things that I have a hard time defending with the construction of this guy is like the feet, for instance. So with the HMM Liger Zero, the feet are just like, there's like a bottom part and a top part, and they just sort of snap together like that, and that's it. It's pretty easy. With the HMM Blade Liger, there's one of the little rubber socket pins, and you have to like attach that pin to one side, and then each toe is like two separate pieces that clamshell together like this, and that is for each toe on all 4 feet. It takes an eternity, and I just do not know why they designed it like that. Also, there is one part where you're assembling the legs. I can't remember which set of legs it is, but you are pushing a pin through that has one of the little soft plastic like rubber socket things for friction in there, which are very important on these kits. But because of the side that socket goes in, the pin is pushing it back out as you are inserting it, which is a very counterintuitive design. And I wish they could have had it insert the other way around, to where the pin is not like forcing the socket back out. It makes it very difficult to assemble those limbs. And then there's some other pieces as well, like how I want to say it's these little things right here, which you probably can't see on the camera too well, but right where my finger is, there's a little triangular wedge piece that's at the bottom of the attack boosters, and those are made up of 2 pieces. It's like one piece that's like 90% of it, and another piece that is just like the back cover of it. Then you snap it together and put it in there. I'll have a picture of that on the screen. And I saw that, and I was like, why? Why is this 2 separate pieces? It makes 0 sense. Why could that not have just been one piece? And it's almost like whoever the engineers were, they were trying to like fit piece count or whatever. And so they were like, oh yeah, we totally have to like separate these and make them two separate pieces. It just seems like there's no purpose for it other than to make the build longer. But when you think about how long this build takes to complete and the value you get out of it in terms of entertainment and challenge and general satisfaction, you definitely get your money's worth for these H&M Zoids. They can range between, $60 to $80, depending on if you're paying for shipping to import them to the US. And if you get, 13, 14 hours out of that, that's money well spent for the most part when you consider how much other entertainment media costs versus how much time you get out of it. So, like I said, there are aspects of the construction of this guy that I have a hard time defending, but I think you'll be fine as long as it's not your very first H&M like I was. I would build one of the smaller ones first. And like I said, I think the Rev Raptors are a great choice, and then work your way up to this guy. And then you should enjoy it quite a bit. It should be a very nice addition to your collection. So that's going to about do it for this video. If you guys are looking for one of these, they are a little bit more difficult to find right now because, again, this version was released in early 2020. They were pretty plentiful on most of the major websites like AmiAmi and HLJ and USA Gundam Store and stuff like that. So you may still be able to find them out there. I wouldn't pay more than, like I said, about $80 to $100 for this. And then there are those other versions of the H&M, or there are other versions of the Blade Liger out there. There's the Hagane Works one, which is probably very expensive, and I don't know that I necessarily consider that one worth it. And then the 40th anniversary motorized one, which I don't particularly like the look of compared to this one, but it's a different take on it, and it is something that is generally available right now at the time of making this video because it was recently released. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will eventually do that Ultimate Blade Liger comparison where I talk about the lore a little bit more, and I compare every single version, every single motorized, every single H&M that I can potentially get my hands on in one room. And I'll see you guys then.